The video became too long for my formatting. The slideshow is reloading, starting right where we left off. Moving into high school, I would like to only be in this style when necessary and move more towards the other two styles. In the future, I believe that autocratic leadership will still be effective and needed when I want to share knowledge quickly and especially when specifying safety instructions. Abdocratic and democratic. With some of my fifth and sixth grade groups, I've incorporated a more of a democratic style of leadership. Sometimes we decide by popular vote an activity for the day, such as on an early release day. However, in high school, I really want to create a leadership building unit where at the end of the year I can have students step up and lead the class in an abdocratic way. I also feel as if by having abdocratic leadership shine in my future classroom, it will truly show how well adjusted the group is as a whole, to the point where my presence is not needed to ensure their success every step of the way. The dual process model, noted on slide 27 as well. It was noted on slide 27. Moving on. Decision traps, heuristic, random choice, and leadership. Trap types, heuristic traps, familiarity, acceptance, consistency, expert halo, scarcity, social proof, rules, and cultural. Random choice traps, positive outcome, gamblers, illusory causation, paradox, control paradox, leadership traps, status, challenge, boredom, popularity, certainty, and harmony. When completing our assignments, I felt that I fell into the random choice traps more than the others. I think that this is meaningful to growth and development and is an intro to psychology as a whole. I plan on teaching my students about these traps as part of our health unit. I strongly believe that self awareness and reflection is important for developing strong young adults. By having specific language and identifying factors that are concurrent with these traps, I can better help the high schoolers that I will be working with avoid these traps in their own life. I see potential traps in their lives involving sports betting through fantasy sports and the gambler's trap. I can envision the leadership traps being highly prevalent too. This could include the popularity trap and certainty traps. I don't believe that people from our groups in High Five were leaving themselves especially susceptible to these traps. I feel that this added to the strong connectivity that we had together and led further to my assumption of the experience being very highly meaningful. Loading the next page. Still loading. There we go. Hazards and risks. In the High Five course, both facilitators assured us that there are some level of inherent risks in all rope courses that have and that they have specific routines and practices to mitigate the risk appropriately. There is no such thing as a perfectly safe ropes course. This talk did not fit into any of my assumptions. It was more intense than I realized it would be, but was appropriately so. I may have a chance to build a high ropes course with my new school in time. They already have an old closed down tower which could be expanded into something new. I respect and appreciate the appropriate risk and straightforward honesty that the facilitators use to address the inherent risk. If I can work my own course in the future, I would handle that conversation similarly to instill just how serious the inherent risks are. Assumptions and fruition. Throughout these slides, I've been confirming the assumptions that I made at the beginning of the adventure. I did find the trainings fun and engaging, challenging, and full of new content, meaningful and informative. The part of my assumption that surprised me the most was the intensity. All my assumptions were met, but the degree of intensity in which I felt each assumption was particularly overwhelming. The future. Throughout these slides, I have been noting how much I wish to apply these theories in my future work. Fortunately, they were modeled extremely well by my incredible groups and the facilitators. I know that by having this language now from our adventure theory class, I can better reflect on how I'm doing in individual aspects of these theories. I know I have strengths in leadership, but now I can go further in specifying which style I want to choose in specific situations, situational leadership. I know how to introduce appropriate risk taking and avoid decision making traps. Not only will this help me reflect on where I am in my risk decision making journey, but I can plan on teaching this content to my students so that they can also evaluate where they have their own strengths and weaknesses in decision making and risks. Thank you for listening to the presentation. I appreciate all of the knowledge I gained from this course and the high five retreats that were part of my adventure story. I do love this work. Thank you.